There's been a lot of drama surrounding Indian cricket ever since the SC-appointed Committee of Administrators (CoA) started overseeing the daily affairs of the BCCI in January 2017. While the team itself has performed well, the Cricket Board has found itself in the middle of a bitterly contested battle with members of the CoA, one that should see an end only once the Apex Court decides on the matter. In an exhaustive interview with CoA Chairman Vinod Rai speaks on multiple issues that have been at the center of all the mess the BCCI administration finds itself in. Also read, Vinod Rai is not telling the truth. Amitabh Chaudhry. It's been 18 months since the CoA has been on board. Can you give us a lowdown of what these 1.5 years have been like? Rai, I've been a cricket lover and followed the game very closely right from school to college, but when it comes to cricket administration, let me admit that I'm a complete novice. When the responsibility was given to us by the SC, I took it as a great honor because all of us feel deeply for cricket in our country. All of us feel that cricket in its most diluted form should be delivered to cricket lovers. Between the deity and the worshippers, there's a pundit, and that pundit is the administrator. That's where we were brought in, and we were hoping that we would try to reform the structure as desired by the SC and hand it back to the democratic setup, which I think is the best available to any sporting organization, and then quit after completing the responsibility handed over to us. But it has taken so much long because of varied interests who have continued giving their own suggestions about what the loader recommendations were and how they need to be tweaked before it is accepted by the state associations and the BCCI. We have given our recommendations to the SC, but the SC, being as busy as they are with diverse issues, have not been able to adjudicate upon it, and that's why this has taken so much time. CoA gave itself 6 months to implement the reforms when it came on board. Right, obviously, we were wrong. Also read, CoA issues show cause notice to BCCI Acting Secretary over unauthorized Bhutan trip. July 2016 is when the order first came out. 6 months had already passed before CoA came on board. When SC asked you to come and take charge, how confident were you that the recommendations will be implemented? What was going on in your mind? Right, see, we came in as rank outsiders hoping that we would be able to convince BCCI members of the loader committee recommendations, and they, being genuine cricket lovers, would cooperate and help us implement those recommendations. But what we did not bargain for was the fact that there was a group of people who, even at the risk of facing a contempt by the SC, were willing to delay the process such that even after 18 months of the July 18th order, we have not been able to implement the directions of the SC. I don't think in my career of about 45 years I've ever seen a situation where the might of the apex court of the land has not been implemented. When we took over on January 30, 2017, with the SC order almost 6 months behind us, we thought we were there only tweak certain peripheral issues, and the bulk of the reform structure was a no-go situation in terms of any tweaking. We thought in terms of implementation there were only a few practical steps that we needed to take. That's because in the 6 months that had gone by, there was nobody in BCCI who was attending to these things in the first place. What were those practical steps? Right, such as to ensure that the reform structure as indicated by the loader committee was adopted by the BCCI itself, one that involved passing amendments, taking it to the registrar of societies depending on what the structure was, and the same structure being implemented in the state associations. You needed a body to guide the state associations, and believe me, they had 100 doubts in the mind. That is why the loader committee had come out with the FAQs, to clarify the July 18, 2017 judgment. I thought we were there only to clarify these issues and put them on a roadmap and ensure that each one of them is taken in a sequential form and there is a systematic implementation of the order. There's been a massive difference in the way everybody has gone about interpreting the order of the SC. Right, no. I'm very clear in my mind that the SC order is abundantly clear. There are no two ways about it. It's only a question whether I should be implementing the order as directed by the SC or the way it suits me. I'll give you a simple example. There was an issue about whether an office bearer who had done 9 years in the state association under loader reforms was entitled to do another 9 years in the BCCI also. Now what happened was this issue was raised before the SC. The SC has categorically stated in its March 2017 order that the order is as clear as the cloudless blue sky. The SC clearly said that if an office bearer has done 9 years in a state association can still do another 9 years in the BCCI. If things are as clear as that, then where is the question of ambiguity in interpretation? Loader committee FAQs insisted that it is a total term of 9 years. That, in turn, led to a huge confusion. Right, yes, that's correct. And then the SC had to clarify it 4 months after our CoA coming on board, that it is 9/9. If there were any other such clarifications required, the SC was willing to do it. We CoA were willing to go to the SC and request for clarification, but somehow those clarifications were not sought and people went about interpreting it the way they wanted to. There is no clause in the reforms package that could have been interpreted any differently from what it was meant to be. It's only a question of which way I wanted to interpret it. Given your experience as a senior bureaucrat, what do you think was the reason that the implementation of reforms wasn't happening? Obviously some things weren't workable. Right, I've spent all my time in my career building consensus. In this particular instance regarding BCCI, I made 2 attempts to meet all members of BCCI, first meeting in Delhi and the second one in Mumbai, and understand what the issues were, as long as those issues weren't about personalities but principles, policies. I told them that I would be the first in placing these issues in front of the SC and say, look, these are the issues that have come forward and the court may take an opinion on that. But we found that the issues weren't about policies but about personalities. So, we were left with no option but to take the view that the SC order in its undiluted form is the only way forward. That's what we recommended to the Honorable SC. The SC could have given the matter involving BCCI some more time, considering a lot of things were waiting to be addressed. Right, in all fairness to the SC, I must say that the Honorable Court has given us at least 9 to 10 hearings in the last 1.5 years. And I think the court has given enough opportunities and bandwidth to listen to our genuine issues. When I say our, I mean BCCI, CoA and state associations. But when we keep talking about fundamental rights and equalities, then remember, we're talking about the apex court of the land. They understand fundamental rights, they understand equalities and liberties much better than anybody else in the country. They have adjudicate on a particular issue factoring all these things. So, where is the question of questioning those aspects? The issue is just this, that if it does not suit my convenience or my interests, will keep wanting to delay it. In all fairness, the Supreme Court has not had time. This is the Honorable Chief Justice's bench. The Chief Justice is among the busiest persons in the country today, and he has far more important issues to attend to, which are far more urgent. That's why the court has not been able to devote time to the BCCI matter. But, as I said earlier, 9 to 10 opportunities were given, and I'm very clear in my mind if any one of us have any genuine policy issues, the court would have definitely listened to us and factored it in the judgment. The Honorable Chief Justice has said the bench is open to suggestions. You'll have filed 8 status reports and the court hasn't said anything on it. Rai: yes, that is because the court has given us and the learned amicus the responsibility of taking into consideration the suggestions of all state associations, factoring it into a model draft constitution and presenting it before the court, which we did last December. It is not every day that you see an individual or a group of people or an organization defying an order of the country's highest court. Why do you think members of BCCI have held this confidence that they could defy this order? Rai: see, it is very difficult for me to try and find out from what source or what argument or what corner they derive that confidence. But I'm convinced about one thing: it is because of their own personal prevarications. Nothing other than that. The pushing the envelope, trying to see how far they can go, continuing to defy, but I'm sure once the court makes up its mind and steps in, it's all over in just one hearing. We're hoping that'll take place in the month of July. Sports administrators around the world have longer tenures so that there's a continuity in administration. Rules are not so stringent anywhere as the LODA recommendations are. The point is, if an administrator were to be there for only 3 years, where would there be any continuity to the functioning from a big-picture perspective? Rai: certainly not. People are posted to critical positions. Chiefs of armed forces, ministers have a 5-year tenure. Cabinet secretaries have a 2-year tenure or is given a 4-year tenure. No continuity or consistency is lost because it's not personalities that matter. It is the institution and the structure of that institution that matters. The SC view on this was, create a structure so that whoever comes and operates that structure, the structure doesn't get disturbed in any way. You see, there's a structure and then there's a system to operate that structure. So whether I stay there for 3 years or 6 years, it doesn't matter. Lot of these arguments were presented in the SC. It took Vikram Limay only 5 days to understand what the financial model of the ICC was, and it took him just 5 days to suggest an alternative model also. And within that 1 month preceding the ICC meeting, we could stop around 8 countries and get them on board with that model. The unfortunate thing is that when the issue went to the ICC, the BCCI representatives to the ICC did not deliberate on the governance model but were concentrating on the finance model. BCCI doesn't have to bother about $2 million here and there because in 3 games we can create that money. What we should have concentrated on was the governance structure, and I raised this issue with the office bearers. I said, why did we not raise a concern with the governance structure? That is when they realized that they should have concentrated on the governance model and not the finance model. Following from the governance model was the finance model. The point I'm trying to make is that all of this is totally a myth. It's an alibi for continued to sticking on to an office and saying that a 3-year period is insufficient. A 3-year period is more than enough for us BCCI because there's a consistency of policies. Policies don't change but individuals do. A district magistrate does his job for 3 years, but that doesn't mean the district falls to pieces. Yes, but just to give you an example, even Sharad Pawar needed time to get a lot of things done from an administrative perspective. Right, it's a very incorrect appreciation of the capabilities of Sharad Pawar. A man of his experience, and for someone who has been the Agriculture and Defense Minister of this country, was the question of a person of that stature needing time to get work at Wankhede Stadium done. Let alone Mr. Pawar. You give a person of my limited experience that kind of time, whether it's the Wankhede Stadium or BCCI, 30 days of time is enough to understand and factor in the issues. Order of the SC says CoA's remit is to implement the Loader Committee recommendations and look into day-to-day supervision. But members allege CoA has gone about doing everything else except that. Right, we just spoke about how an order of the court is interpreted. Let me read out the order to you. On January 2, 2017, the then President and Secretary of BCCI were removed by the SC. On January 30, 2017, the SC appointed CoA's 4 members. Now, what was the remit given to us? It was not merely the implementation of loader reforms. Let me read it out to you because this is something which has been, I would say, on purpose. January 2, 2017 Order of the SC says, a committee of administrators, CoA, shall supervise the administration of BCCI through its CEO. There is no scope for misinterpretation of that. Again, the same order says, in addition to the function assigned above, the CoA shall ensure the directions contain the judgment of this court dated July 18, 2016 are fulfilled and to adopt all necessary and consequential steps for that purpose. So what does it say? First is, supervise all administration through the CEO. Second, also implement the order of the SC dated July 18, 2016. Then, the court says in the same order, upon the CoAs nominated by the court assuming charge, the existing office-bearers who were allowed to remain by the court shall function subject to the supervision and control of CoA. Supervision means daily administration. Even if there were grounds to misinterpret this para, the SC further clarified in its order dated January 30, 2018, when CoA was appointed by name, CEO of BCCI shall report to CoA and the administrators shall supervise the management of BCCI. So what are the words used? Supervision, administration and management. The words are abundantly clear. There is no scope for any obfuscation or misinterpretation. People have been doing it because a common man who thinks about BCCI doesn't read into these things directly. But CoA took upon itself in taking policy decisions by keeping the BCCI members away despite those members claiming that there's a democratic setup in place which was being done away with. Members say CoA acted in a unilateral manner. Right, okay, I absolutely agree with you that this is one of the arguments which has been trotted out about the functioning of the CoA, and this I've got to read in the media. Let me give you an example. The first time we CoA came to meet the players at the Team India management was on the inaugural day of IPL 2017 in Hyderabad. That is the first time I met Anil Kumble, and he wanted to discuss a few things with us which we thought was very fair. All 4 members of CoA were present and Kumble wanted to make a presentation to us, and he was talking about the compensation structure of the players and the support staff of the team, and he said that this had not been altered from the year 2011, if I remember correctly. He said the compensation structure as it was fixed in the year 2011 continues and the players are at a disadvantage. Kumble made the presentation to us, and I distinctly remember asking him if he had consulted the players on this and also, are the players sensitized about the issues you are raising? He said, yes, I have done that. I personally cross-verified this with Captain Virat Kohli that day on phone. He was in Mumbai. He said, yes, Kumble had talked to us and made the presentation. We were, very frankly, quite aghast that these issues had not been touched from the year 2011. It is after this that we went about asking in a very democratic fashion about what should be the compensation structure. We consulted the team management, we consulted the players. I have had 3 meetings with Dhoni, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Ravi Shastri. There were meetings in Mumbai, in Delhi, about what they think of the compensation structure. To the credit of these senior players, they said, please don't bother about what we as senior players get compensated through Category A of BCCI gradation policy, because we get sufficient income from endorsements. They said, look, 1 crore to 2 crore doesn't matter as long as the bulk of the team is taken care of, because, compared to the English and Australian national teams, we are very badly off. They gave us those comparative figures. I have the dates for all of this and I must share it with you so that everybody know how democratic we have been. On May 21, 2017, Kumble's presentation was discussed with CoA. On August 8 and 9 in the same year, we finalized it and gave it to the BCCI Finance Committee. The Finance Committee is chaired by a democratically elected person and the Honourable Treasurer is the convener. The Finance Committee met on October 6 and wanted to rework it. They asked the Treasurer to rework it and he made a presentation. We, CoA, don't know what the presentation was. Then it was referred to the Chairman of Finance Committee on October 21. On November 30, we gave a fresh proposal to the Finance Committee and further consultations were done. On January 3, we firmed up our proposals and we gave one more opportunity to the Finance Committee. The chairman of the Finance Committee then decided that a meeting would be held on January 29, but the Treasurer said, let's not have it on 29 because there's a SC hearing. We don't know what happened. We finally met again on March 3 and said, we've been carrying these proposals for roughly 1 year, so what do we do now? The team was leaving for the Nidahas Trophy and unless we had contracts signed with the players we would not have been able to insure the players because the insurance is based on a certain compensation package. We have faced that kind of a situation with players like Yuvraj Singh and Nishant Sharma in the past when they were not insured and had serious injuries. Till the end of March, we did not get a Finance Committee approval or even a discussion. Now what do we do? IPL was starting in April and contracts had expired a year ago. So, yes, it was a unilateral decision we had to take. People talk about following a democratic setup, so let me tell you, we consulted the players, the coach, manager, the BCCI staff and all the proposals were made available to the office bearers. Finally we cleared it on March 7, players signed the contracts, the BCCI officials signed it but till today the contracts have not been signed by the acting secretary. Now, a view can be taken that, well, it has not been cleared by the general body. In between March 3, 2017 and today, how many SGMs have been held? If we had the interests of players at heart, this should have been priority no. 1 and should have been cleared at SGMs held in July, November, December and again in January. But those were not SGMs. Right, they were SGMs with the permission of the CoA. They were 100% official SGMs where resolutions have been passed. We have not stopped a SGM from meeting. Recently, CoA had issued a 12-pointer of do's and don'ts for office bearers. Rai: yes, we did it. We are the supervisors for the office bearers. It is the responsibility of CoA to lay down the do's and don'ts for everybody who comes in the BCCI structure. It is the responsibility of anybody who comes under the management of the CoA to take instructions from the CoA on whatever they have to do. To that extent, there was enough and more opportunity to democratically discuss. If we don't care for our players, then whom do we care about? You talk about player remunerations not being looked into since 2011, when they were last altered. However, things have not been the same for BCCI since 2013. The spot-fixing scandal broke from 2014, various court-appointed panels came into effect to lead investigations, and from October 2015, Shashank Manohar took over while the SC was still hearing the BCCI matter. Rai: there was a president in position, there was a vice president in position, a secretary, a treasurer. Whether it was Manohar or someone else, but there was somebody. They were functioning till January 2, 2017. The 18th of July 2016 judgment was discussed in the 2016 October SGM. There was a totally democratic body in position. There was a regular functioning president, secretary, treasurer in position. You can't say administration was lax. If it was lax, it reflects upon these individuals. Between 2011 and 2016, there were personalities functioning as president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Even when the order came, these office bearers were in place. In the October 2016 SGM, 90% of the recommendations were accepted and I don't know what happened, they rejected it. After that, the SC asked the President and Secretary why it didn't happen, and because the SC found the President and Secretary wanting, they were removed. 2015 cricket calendar was changing, Shashank Manohar was taking over as President. After that, the BCCI had, for all practical purposes, lost control. Rai: the SC order came into effect only in 2016. Until then, as I'm saying, BCCI office bearers were in control and cricket was being played. The sad fact is that the players were forgotten. We looked after our own interests and whatever our problems were. Now, it is being brought to your notice in March 2017 that the players' issues have been long pending. Now, my question is, okay, even if things were lax at that time, this issue is still pending over the last 15 months. Why are you not signing the contracts? If you say this has not been discussed at the general body, then let me say 5 general bodies have met since then. The CEO has been present in all the general body meetings, so let him clarify this. Can you imagine Ranji Trophy players were just being paid 10,000 rupees? We've now increased it to 35,000 rupees in addition to the share at the GRS. That aside, there are women cricketers who have performed remarkably well in recent years. You continue paying them 5 lakh rupees. That's why I said, whatever be the administration, how can you forget the player? The fact is that the player has been most unfairly treated, and that is what we have been trying to correct. Can you please explain in detail how did the CoA go about with player remuneration? Rai: IPL officials pointed out that one of the items of miscellaneous expenditure in the proposed budget for YPL 2018 was insurance for players who miss out on IPL on account of injuries sustained while playing for India. However, such insurance would be pointless in the absence of subsisting retainership contracts between BCCI and the relevant Indian players, because the same had expired on the 30th of September 2017. Then I inquired from the legal team about the status of the player contracts and why the same were still not ready.